Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Yesterday I said we'd have a subject. Yesterday's video did not post. Seriously. Not that that was a bad thing, because, oh my god, yesterday was terrible. Oh, everything felt so disjointed. Everything felt so off. And I still feel like that today. Like everything is so disjointed and off. I feel like I'm in the middle of like an energy reboot. So I'm hoping that because I feel even worse today, that maybe it's, hitting bottom and then raising up, right? So we'll see what happens today. So good morning, older sibling. So today I have the Affirmators deck. I was going to talk about a subject that I mentioned yesterday in the video that did not post. About the responsibilities of social media, but I think I'm going to save that for Thursday since tomorrow is Self-Care Wednesday. Like I said, I'm still feeling a bit disjointed, so I'm just going to go with the Affirmators deck today. Keep it simple, keep it, I don't want to say easy because I literally do these off the top of my head. I do make notes on certain things, but the majority of the things I talk about do come off the top of my head. The notes are basically just for kind of keep me on track because I tend to ramble. But if you're new, I pull guidance cards in the morning just to kind of so you're not staring at my face while I wait for people to come onto the live. Okay, so first one. The question is not what you look at, but what you see. The question is not what you look at, but what you see. It really is true. If, I guess we could go, good morning, Eileen. So I guess we could go with, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see someone you love? Because if you see someone you love, then you're seeing you. But if you don't love yourself, if you're lacking that self-love, a lot of times, this really does become the question. The question is not what you look at, but what you see. Who are you seeing in that mirror? Who are you focusing on? What are you focusing on? Do you see the person you want to be? Do you see the person that's right in front of you when you look in that mirror? Or are you seeing something completely different? Are you seeing something more negative? So if it feels negative, or if you feel like you're just not seeing yourself, it's time to go deep. And it's time to go in to yourself, because the only way to self-love is through all that ick and muck, right? It's to just weed all that stuff away. So number 2, don't forget to have fun, be playful, and be attentive. Don't forget to have fun, be playful, be attentive. I love this card. This dog just totally cheers me up every time I see him, or her, whatever the case may be. But this is truth. If you want to raise your frequency and you want to raise your vibe, you have got to remember to have fun. Okay, even if you're at work, make a game out of it. How fast can I do something correctly? Okay, correctly, not badly. Or, go for walks. Maybe gather a friend with you and go for a walk. Good morning, baby sibling. But, But yeah, just don't forget to be playful. Don't forget to have fun. And don't forget to be attentive to yourself. All right? Do you need to view the situation through different lenses? Perspective. Yes. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am not doing the subject I talked about yesterday because I am still in this process of, I don't know what is happening to me right now, but I am not functioning, and everything is just so disjointed and just so off. So, I thought about canceling today, and I thought, no, I need to do this. I need to push through. So we're just going to do the Affirmators today. But the only reason I bring that up is, do you need to view this situation through different lenses? I think I'm trying too hard. A lot of times when we go through energy resets, or we go through what I call a recalibration, and really what it is that you're moving from one mindset to another. And a lot of times old habits that you really want to get rid of will just kind of come up and try to slap you. And sometimes they land their slap, okay? They land their punch, and it just kind of throws you. It kind of throws you, and you're just sitting here going, geez, really? Seriously? Now what? And I mean, even yesterday I was up make stupid comments, so I had to stay away. So, do you need to view the situation through different lenses? Have perspective on it, okay? And, when you're looking through something, when you're looking at something, try to put yourself in, in both sets of shoes. Okay? Try to put yourself in the position of the pros and the cons, or the cons and the pros, depending on how you view the situation. Look at it from both sides, because sometimes when you look at it from both sides, you see exactly what you need to learn right in the middle. Make yourself proud. Repeat until you believe it. I am proud of myself. This card literally flew out at me, and I put it back in the deck, and here it is again. So I think maybe I'm being too hard on myself. So repeat until you believe it. I am proud of myself. And let's go with one more. Good vibes only. Of course, crappy vibes happen, so why not start out prepared and ahead of the game? Good vibes, right? One thing I love to say, or I like to suggest, is when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should say out of your mouth should not be something negative, but something positive. Maybe today's going to be a good day, even if you're feeling like crap. Today's going to be a good day. I have an affirmation I read every morning, even when I'm not feeling at my shiniest or my brightest. And because I know this too shall pass. I know that the wheel will come back around. And when it comes back around, I think it's going to come back in a way where I am able to leave a lot of bad habits behind. Some of my bad habits came up yesterday, and I'm not proud of them. And there are things I try not to do anymore. I realize everybody has their own journey. We cannot fix other people's journeys. A lot of times we do things because we don't want people to hurt the way we've hurt, but everybody has their own journey. Everybody has to, and because, just because you had one outcome doesn't mean they're going to have the same. That's why everybody has their own journey. That's why you have your own journey. That's why I have my own journey. And they're also individual, right? So, I felt all these bad habits coming back up again. And I had to just take a breather. I had to take a step back. And, surprisingly, I thought I would feel better today because I did all these things yesterday that I was supposed to do. I was really listening to my intuition on what to do. I was asked how I feel this morning. I feel worse. I feel absolutely worse. But, not dreadful worse, right? Not that anger of dread worse, but I'm going to have to figure it out. I'm going to have to journal it out. So, and I'm sharing that because I know a lot of it has to do with my mental health and just trying to recalibrate. And when you go through things in life that really kind of, stick with you for years and years, in some cases, even decades, when you try to let things go, it's almost like a weird grieving process. And maybe that's what this is. This is why I'm talking it out with all of you, because one of the reasons I did not want to cancel this morning is because one of the things that I really try to make a point of in the perspective, and even when it was the daily vibe, is that the importance of understanding our mental health. I don't think we ever truly understand our mental health because it changes like that for some of us. Some people it's persistent. For other people like me, it's just kind of like, wow, I feel great. And then you wake up and you're like, what the hell happened? And you're kind of left spinning. It's like being on the teacups for too long at Disneyland. You're just like, whoa. And it's not physically nauseating, but it's mentally nauseating. And so I didn't want to not do this because I do think it's important to really kind of shine that light on how our mental health can just change on the dime. If we're triggered, if maybe we're just going through changes. And by that I mean, I really feel like I'm in a new chapter of my life. I feel like I'm in this place now where I am in charge, where I do have the opportunity to make the right decisions, but I have all these little things gnawing and nipping at my heels for that are old habits and old things that I really, really, truly, truly want to get away from. To just be there for people, help them up when they fall, We can't put a soft cushion or a net in front of everybody. The only people we can do that for is ourselves. Or if you're a parent, your kids, obviously, because you're raising them, teaching them how to, get up where they fall. But I just saw a text from baby sibling that says she loved the quote. I'm assuming she was talking about my quote for today, but I don't always see the text messages that come in, but I think there was a good point, because I'm going to share the quote that I have here. And I actually wrote it down 2 days ago, but I loved it so much I didn't want to lose it. And it's from Arthur Ashe, legendary tennis player. So start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And I'll be honest with you, that really is evoking a lot of feelings right now, because it really hits home for me today. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Even though our situations in life tend to differ, there are always some sort of parallels, right? Even if somebody has a good financial situation and somebody doesn't, there's still that feeling that everybody has that something could be better in their lives. And, sometimes I think it's like a double-edged sword, because that is the motivation to make you work for things. But it's also, this is what I mean by when I say my thoughts are disjointed. I just had that thought and I lost it when I talk about the parallels of things. But it makes you work for things harder. But it can also, you know what? Forget it. I just totally lost that thought. This, guys, is actually a side effect of depression. When now I don't have chronic pain, but a very common term in chronic pain is flare-ups. Okay, and so to borrow from those who I know very dearly and who love to death, because older sibling has chronic pain and RSD, or it's now known as CRPS. I'm having a mental flare-up, and one of the things that is literally a side effect of unbalanced mental health is memory. Believe it or not. So before you get nervous, if you have memory issues, just see your doctor, please. Okay, to make sure that it's not just something that can be fixed, or with maybe therapy or whatever you need, some kind of regimen. Yeah, that happens a lot. This is why I did not do the subject I talked about that I was going to do. I figure Thursday I should be back on track, hopefully, or at least in a better place mentally, where I can put two thoughts together and actually keep them going. But so yeah, whatever that thought was meant to be, it is not there anymore. So I do apologize for that. Thank you, baby sibling, for the comment about not canceling. But I do love that quote. Start where you are. Start where you are. If you fell down, get up where you stand. Get up from where you fell. Don't look back. Don't look too far forward. Look forward enough so you don't trip and fall again. Okay? But start where you are. Use what you have and do what you can. We have to learn how to be content in our surroundings. We have to learn how to be content where we are starting. If there is no level of contentment, it's going to be a hard road, because you're going to be constantly living either in your past, where, bad habits didn't matter, they just were comfortable, or you may be living too far into your future, where, you see this level of joy and happiness that is meant for you, but you're living so far in there that you forget to be appreciative of where you're at now. It doesn't matter how much you have in your bank account. It doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in. It doesn't matter if you're working or not working. If you are not finding that reason to be content in your life now, it is going to be an uphill battle. And, I'm not a professional, but this is from experience. And I feel like I'm talking to myself a little bit here, because I'm not content. I just feel like everything could be and should be so much better. But in the time that I've been thinking that, I've been forgetting to appreciate everything here. I've been forgetting to see what I just came, what I just healed, what I came through, what everything that's behind me that I hurdled, all the obstacles I hurdled. It's like I may not be exactly where I want to be in this life, but I'm still here. And I've had many opportunities where I was almost not still here. And I think that's what is important to focus on. What hurdles have you, what obstacles have you hurdled? What big things have you made it through? What small things have you made it through? The small things are just as important. I mean, on the flip side, when it comes to good things, the small things are my favorite. But believe it or not, sometimes the smallest things can be the hardest things. Yesterday, I mean, like I said, I'm glad yesterday's perspective did not post, because it was so disjointed. I had so many triggers in yesterday's perspective that, I mean, I couldn't even get a full, I don't know, it felt like I couldn't even get a full sentence out. I mean, even older sibling, texted me and asked me if I was okay. She was worried while watching that, because it was like having an out-of-body experience. I mean, it literally was like having an out-of-body experience. I could not, like I said, it was so disjointed. And I mean, take today's perspective and multiply it by 100 times worse. And that's pretty much yesterday's perspective. And, it was just bad. So, all that being said, and sharing the mental health aspect of this, I pulled the Affirmator's Love and Relationships deck today. So, again, don't worry about whether it says love and relationships or not. I'm not in love. I'm not in a relationship. But I tell you, I get a lot out of these cards. It's not about where it comes from. What's important is the message that we get from it. Because when you think about it, self-love is a great love. And you are truly in a relationship with yourself. It's like I've mentioned a million times before. You are with you 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. You are with you every moment. Even when you're asleep, you're with you. I mean, if you are a person who believes in astral projection, you're still connected to you. That's right. You may be out there floating around somewhere, but you're still connected to yourself. Because you are the most important relationship you are ever going to have in this life. And if you can't learn to love yourself, how can we expect people to truly love us? And there will be people, believe it or not. I mean, it's kind of a hypocritical statement to make, in a way. I don't even know if that's the right word to pick, but there are people who really lack in self-love, and they find people who love them because maybe that's what they need. But those relationships last when a person learns to love themselves, when they look at the person who loves them so much and says, hey, you know what? You need to see you. And I need you to see you. And hopefully, truly hopefully, they develop that self-love for themselves. Because again, the relationship you have with yourself is going to be the most important relationship you ever have in your life. You are responsible for you. You're responsible for, your health. You're responsible for your grooming and your hygiene and all this stuff. You're responsible for all of that internal stuff too. We think about grooming as something that's external. It's also internal. And I know that can be a trigger word for some people. That was a trigger word for me for a long time. But when you think about it, we have to take care of ourselves on the inside. And I don't just mean your body, your health organs and all stuff. I mean your soul, your heart, your mind. There have been times when I've had to take a break from doing the perspective because my brain just wasn't in it. And like I said, I almost canceled today, but I thought, no, today I have to push through. And I didn't want to. I'm being honest. I didn't want to. I can talk about so many things. And when I'm in the moment, I can talk about mental health, but when I'm actually going through what I will call a mental flare-up, I struggle with it because I'm still stigmatizing myself. I'm still not allowing myself to just understand that this is my life. This is something I go through. This is kind of how it is, you know. Somebody asked a question on Twitter last week. How do you quiet down or get rid of that, internal or that inner child that just feels like it's bringing you down? And I was ready to answer, you don't. You have to love and nurture that inner child. And before I could even answer, I saw 3 comments right above the comment box where I was about to type my thing that all said the same thing. If you've been hurt in life, no matter what kind of trauma, I'm going to say it like that, trauma, no matter what kind of trauma it was, it could be an accident you were in, right? For the longest time, I was afraid of driving next to big rigs because when I was about 5 or 6, I was in a car, and when I was 5 or 6, we didn't have to sit in the back seat, and we sure as shit did not have booster seats to sit in. We were just in the chair, in a seatbelt, and you hope that you didn't slide underneath because you were so tiny. But the front end of my parents' car, my parents were not in the car at the time. Somebody else was driving my parents' car, but the front end got taken off by a big rig. We literally got smashed by a big rig. And I didn't realize it for years that had been a trigger until someone mentioned it to me. It's like, well, did something happen when you were a kid? It's like, oh my God, ding, ding, ding. So this is what I'm talking about. There are things that are going to happen to us in life, whether, they seem big or bad, or they just seem like a throwaway thing, that can actually trigger certain things in you, trigger things in your subconscious. Do not invalidate your feelings. Just because somebody over here may have gone through something that you think is totally horrible, and you're so grateful that you sit there and go, oh my God, I'm so glad that never happened to me in my life. That doesn't mean that your feelings are invalid. They're very valid. Sometimes I have to be reminded by other people that my feelings are valid. Because we're all going through something. And a lot of us are going through things that we're trying to heal. And it may not be easy. I have a lot of trust issues because I got cheated on a lot when I was in relationships. And, it kind of was what it was. They were lessons in my life. And that's okay. I'm okay with that now. I'm not okay with what happened to me because I don't think anybody should be okay with that. But, it kind of falls under, it is what it is. And we learn from that. And what we learn from that is what we're worth. We learn, what we're willing to deal with and what we're willing to put up with. And, we also learn what we like I just said, what we truly know we deserve in life. We deserve this self-respect. We deserve respect. But just remember, you can't walk into a room and say, hey, respect me. You got to earn that. And also, when it comes to people and choices, don't judge them. People change. People should be allowed personal growth. Sometimes in life, we make bad choices. And we make choices that will have consequences. But that doesn't mean we can't change. That doesn't mean when we say we're sorry that we're not sorry. If it's heartfelt and it really genuinely feels like an apology, then I truly believe it is. And I truly believe that people should accept it. If it happens again, it means they need help. It means they need guidance. Because I've done that. I've apologized for a lot of stupid things I've done in my life. And then I turn around and I do it again. Except as I did it again, I realized, oh my God, I'm doing it again. Because the apology was so sincere that you're making a conscious effort to change. You're making a conscious effort to say, hey, I'm not that person anymore. I don't want to be that person anymore. Or I really, really don't like this behavior. I need to change it. It doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes it takes time. And if you continually shame yourself over these things and say, why am I stupid? Why can't I get this right? Then all you're doing is putting yourself behind that 8 ball. You need to put yourself in front of it. You need to remind yourself that, hey, you know what? This is this moment, and I have the choice to do the right thing or, to make a bad choice. And we're not always going to make the right choice. Okay? That's life. Excuse me. We're not always going to make the choice we should have made. But when you are sincere about the mistake and you are sincere about making things right, you will succeed. And not only that, you will probably feel a lot more better about yourself. Or a lot more. You'll probably feel a lot better about yourself because you see the change in you. It's not always about, knowing that, when you right a wrong, it's not always about righting that wrong and how the other person feels. It's about recognizing too. I mean, it matters how they feel, of course. That disjointed thoughts. Of course it matters how they feel because you don't want to hurt people. No, we don't wake up every morning saying, hey, I'm going to go hurt somebody today. Well, some people might, but the majority of us who have a conscience do not. All right. But, when we right a wrong, be proud of yourself too, because a lot of times it's not easy to admit when we're wrong, because it does make us vulnerable. And, it's, for some people, especially people like me, vulnerability was a very strange emotion for me because I tried to control everything. I tried to be the Fort Knox of emotions, which did not really happen, but I just tried to be the Fort Knox of myself. I tried to keep people away. I tried to keep people at just enough of a distance that they couldn't hurt me. And that came from my own trauma. There's a lot of distrust in my life. Not with the people that were super duper close to me. But, when it comes to making friends and meeting new people, older sibling and I are terrifically different. She will jump in feet first and then find out what kind of people they are. If, whether they're good or whether they're like, really? What was I thinking? Me, which could explain why my tight circle of friends is not that big and I have a lot of acquaintances, is it takes time for me to really kind of learn to trust people. I don't jump in feet first. It's almost like a vetting process for me. Like, are you worthy? Well, I don't even want to say, are you worthy of my presence? Because that sounds terrible. It's more like, are you going to hurt me down the line? Because if you are, I don't want you in my life. But we don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen the next day. So what I'm doing, I need to be somewhere between older sibling and myself. I need to find that middle ground where you have just enough trust when you feel that vibration of a person, when you know that vibration's good. Good morning, baby bear. When you feel that wonderful vibration coming from somebody else, don't hold them so far off that they're just kind of like, oh, they just don't want to be friends. I'm out. Or maybe so-and-so's not interested, so I'm out. You never know what good things you're missing. Or maybe that special someone you may be missing because you're just kind of like, no. You need to sit in the waiting room until I decide whether or not, I can have you in my life. And to be honest, I'm going to circle back to that worthy of my presence. It sounds so terrible and it sounds so bad. But you know what? I think when you are a person who is genuine, people need to be worthy of your presence, just like you need to be worthy of their presence. You need to be worthy of their friendship. We all go in thinking that we're not going to be the one that hurts people, and then sometimes we are. And it's not intentional. Sometimes things happen because we're just not meant to have certain people in our lives. Or maybe we're just not meant to have certain people in our lives at a specific point or down the road. Or maybe we need breaks from people. There's so many different things. So many different things. You know, I mean, I was thinking this morning about an old friend's birthday is today. And I haven't talked to this person in years because it was one of those things where they literally stabbed me in the back. Well, not literally, but figuratively, horribly stabbed me in the back. And in fact, stabbed a few of us in the back. And it was one of those things where even when I tried to extend the olive branch, even though I was the one that was hurt, because I don't like, there was a time in my life where I thought I just needed people in my life, whether they were bad to me or not. And when I tried to extend the olive branch, they basically took it and hit me with it. And it's like, okay. And I think it was in that moment that I realized, you know what? It's not the amount of friends I have. It's the quality of the friends I have. And I started becoming a little more picky and choosy about it. And maybe that was not the right thing to do. But I know that on the journey I've been on now, even with this mental health journey, you know, and losing my mom and becoming, you know, 100% on board with the fact that I have mental health issues, I've had the right people in my life. 4 of them are on here watching live right now. You know, I mean, we've each one of us has been through interesting stuff, you know, when it comes to our mental health and whatnot. And I mean, I don't know that anybody else has it. I know older sibling and I do. And baby sibling's not very secretive about it, but I don't mean that in a bad way. Like I said, my thoughts are very disjointed, but they've been there and they've really tried to understand where I come from. They've been very patient with me in many, many situations. And they've kind of helped guide me. Because I cannot honestly say that I've always been in tune with my mental health. I ignored it for over 20 years. And it's only been within the last 4 or 5 years that I finally really kind of said, hey, you know what? I got to get this in check. And it's only been in the last 2 years, or maybe even a year and a half, that I finally accepted the fact that this is my brain. And this is the one I got to live with. And when it came to that inner child inside of me, it's only been in the last 5 months that I realized I've got to buckle down and take care of this little floof inside of me. Because it all starts there. It all starts with healing that inner child. It all starts with healing any pain that you have inside of you so that you can exude all this love. You can exude all of this joy that is literally just dying to get out of you. It can cause physical ailments. It can cause unnecessary stress. It can cause unnecessary mental breakdowns. You know? And considering what I was talking about just over 30 minutes ago about where my brain has been, I really feel like talking this out with you guys has been helpful. I can't remember a lot of what I just said because, like I said, when you're in a mental flare-up, your brain just kind of, it goes in about 20 directions. And you're trying to catch each thought before it gets away. But, like I said, I didn't want to cancel today, even when I had that thought that just literally escaped my mind as I was talking. One of the main things I like to do on the perspective is advocate for mental health. Because I think we always talk about destigmatizing it. But we have to start with us. We have to, destigmatize our own mental health. We have to see ourselves for who we are, flaws and all. They're beautiful flaws, right? Perfectly imperfect. I'm perfectly imperfect. And there was a time when I would say that, and I would say it as a joke because I hated myself. I 100% hated myself. Most people didn't see that on the outside, but when I look in the mirror, it's just like, oh God, I fucking hate you. It's like, why can't you get anything right? Why are you such a screw up? Why are you such a failure? And I realized that until I got this under control, everything was going to keep spinning out of control. And maybe that's why today I feel like I'm worse than I was yesterday. I mean, I definitely got a better attitude about it today than I did yesterday. So I know it's kind of hard to tell, because yesterday I just was so out of sorts. But today I have an acceptance of this. I have an understanding that this mental thing, this mental flare-up that I'm going through could quite possibly just be because I'm scared. I'm afraid of that next chapter. I'm in a new chapter of my life. I'm in this new place where I have a whole different mindset. But it's so unfamiliar to me without having that anchor of dread that it's scary. And maybe that's all I needed to do, was to admit to myself that it's okay to be scared. This is uncharted territory for me. I've never lived a moment in my life up until a few months ago, or maybe even a month ago, without that anchor of dread, that underlying feeling that just sits in the pit of your stomach. Even when you feel great and amazing, right? It's like the example I used last week, right? Where I was talking about, imagine being a balloon, but you have one of those weights on you, right? So you might be flapping in the wind if you're outside, but you're not free. You're floating, but you're not free because you have something holding you down. And when I finally got rid of that anchor of dread, even while I was in the sea of bliss, guys, that anchor of dread was still there. But when I cut the cord to that, when I cut ties with that, it kind of sent me free flying. Not spiraling, but free flying. I thought it was spiraling until I realized, whoa, I'm out there. But what now? You know, and I think I was trying to find the chain that held the anchor of dread. I think I was trying to grab back onto that. I was trying to create situations where, you know, it would make it tense between me and somebody else, because it was that feeling I was so familiar with. And I think subconsciously I was trying to get that back. And I don't want it back. I seriously do not want it back. There's a whole other half of my life that I have left to live. And I want to do that, you know, with joy in my heart, with happiness in my heart. I mean, like I said, I'm not stupid. There are going to be times when I struggle with my emotions, when I struggle like now with my brain. But if we don't give ourselves the opportunity, and we don't give ourselves that open road to just discover ourselves and discover what we're made of, and discover what we're worth, then we're really kind of selling ourselves short. You know, and if you're not sure where to start from where you are, right? Just like the quote from Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. You know, speaking of Arthur Ashe, I don't know why this just popped in my head, but for some reason it did. I remember back in high school, two of my best friends were on the tennis team. And I loved playing tennis. I loved it so much, but I was terrible at it. I mean, 100% terrible at it. And I remember where my dad lives, they have tennis courts. And they would come over from time to time, and, you know, they would just, because, I mean, they had houses. My dad lives in a condo. And they would just come play. But they'd always ask me if I wanted to join in. It's like, are you two nuts? It's like, if I wanted to get my ass kicked, I would just go to Wimbledon and stand on the court and let them hit me with balls. But but the thing is, they knew I loved it. They knew I loved playing. I still have a racket and tennis balls, and I do nothing with them because, you know, I'm so afraid of failing. You know, but they knew I loved playing, and they were just better at it. And so they would teach me. And they would take that time and that patience to teach me. And they were doing something for me that I could not do for myself. I didn't give myself that grace to know that, hey, they started at the beginning once, you know, and they used what they had. And that was their talent. And, you know, and again, do what you can. That's how they got better. But when I think about that, I think that's what it is, you know. We oftentimes will reach out to other people to help them. But I think sometimes we forget to help ourselves. Sometimes I think we forget that we need that grace. That we need to be shown from our own self that we can do whatever we want. Maybe we won't be the best at it, but if it's fun, right? You know, it's like with trivia, right? When I was growing up, Trivial Pursuit was one of my favorite games. Sports and entertainment were my jam. Sometimes history. Science, terrible at it. And every so often those film games would come out where nobody would let my dad and I be on the same team. And because it was something I was good at. But I always loved being on the other team. You know, I didn't mind. And my dad and I would sometimes go head to head. And, you know, sometimes he would get it. Sometimes I would get it. But it felt good to be good at something, right? But then everybody else on that team had a strength. You know, I mean, when it comes to sports, I love sports, but my dad, hands down, he's not a big hockey fan like I am, but he has 3 main people that he always uses in hockey. And he just tries to go with whoever pops in his head first. And I shit you not, that man is right 90% of the time. Because he knows what he knows. Me, I know just enough of everything to hold my own in a conversation. But that's kind of how my brain is, just very eclectic stuff going on in there. But I think that's what we need to do. We need to give ourselves grace. And it's getting a little late, so let me read this card really quick. Oh, I love it. It's a bear hug. Warmth. Warmth. That's what we need to show ourselves. We need to show ourselves grace, and we need to show ourselves warmth. I focus on warmth and let it guide all my interactions. No matter how others behave, I choose to respond warmly. With warmth, I can melt any icy exterior. I can soften any hard feelings. I can microwave any pizza. Today I adopt the saying, kill 'em with kindness, and turn myself into a warm and loving serial killer. That just sounds terrible. Okay, these are the snarky snark cards, alright? But I don't think anybody wants to know someone who is a warm and loving serial killer. No. This card is wrong on about 20 levels. So I'm just going to read the first part. I focus on warmth and let it guide all my interaction. Jesus. I'm sorry. What the hell? I focus on warmth and let it guide all my interactions. And no matter how others behave, I choose to respond warmly. With warmth, I can melt any icy exterior. I can soften any hard feelings. I can microwave any pizza. Today, I adopt the saying, kill 'em with kindness. Baby sibling said she needed that laugh. I needed that laugh too. That was terrible. That was 100% terrible. But, you know, I watch enough crime shows that I have to tell you, these people think they are warm and loving serial killers right before they off you. Someone needed to rethink this card bad. And I get what they're saying though. I get where they're coming from. Kill them with kindness. But wow. No. Holy shite. That was bad. But it was funny, I admit. So anyways. Yeah, so warmth. Give yourself warmth. Give yourself grace. Just give yourself that space in that room that you need, okay? Don't be so hard on yourself. Life is hard enough without us making it harder on ourselves. So go out there, you know, I have so many sayings I want to say, but in light of the global happenings in the last few days on TV, I just don't feel like any of them are appropriate. So anyways, I'm just going to say, go out there and give today a big hug. All right, give it a big hug. Just tell today, if you're having a bad day, you know what? I see you. And we're going to make this better. And if it doesn't get better, don't worry. Don't worry. It will hopefully be better tomorrow. Like I said, I feel worse today, but on the weird vibrational level, I feel better. And maybe that worst part that I'm feeling right now is the fact that I've come to the realization that I have to leave this person behind that I used to be, because I'm not her anymore. I know some of us just grow into the person we're... Okay, so baby sibling said, nah, just punch it in the face. That is what I was trying to avoid saying. In light of the past few days and the things that have happened, I was trying not to say punch today in the face. But you know what, guys? I'm going to stick with give today a hug. Because maybe that's what it needs. Maybe that's exactly what it needs. Maybe it needs us to show it some grace so that it can show us some grace. To give us, show it some warmth. So it returns that warmth. See? That's a good way to put it. Punch that test in the face. But yeah, I mean, if you want to punch it in the face and then hug it, that's your thing. But yeah, for me, like I said, it's been a rough go, but I think I'm starting to understand. There's a part of me that did not want to leave old me behind. I struggle with that because people are saying, you're not becoming a new person. You're the same person, but you're developing new skills. No, I am literally a different person than I was a long time ago because I'm whole. I don't have this duality going on anymore. I don't have this one person that is sitting there in shame and pain and trauma and all that while pretending to the rest of the world that everything is peachy and fine in my life. Because for the most part, in my reality, everything was peachy and fine. But I had that anchor of dread behind me that nobody knew about. Nobody, not even my parents. And that sat with me too long. So when I say I'm a new person, it's because I am whole now. And it's scary as fuck. Seriously, I wanted to say scary AF, but no, I had to drop that F-bomb because that's exactly how it feels. It's terrifying. It's terrifying being in this whole new position in my life that I am not familiar with, especially at my age. I was just kind of like, oh, when we're kids, it's different because you're growing into who you want to be. You're growing into who you will become. And it's taken me a long time to do that. It's taken me a long time to let go of all these anchors and all these, think of it as like a hot air balloon, right? With all the ropes hanging down and they have you nailed to the ground and you're just floating. It's not even about the balloon with the weight on it anymore. You're like a big old hot air balloon going, please set me free. Sometimes we'll be grounded and that's fine. Other times we just have to learn how to fly free and hope for the best. Sometimes we might get caught up in that wind or in the power lines or something. But when those things happen, stop and take a moment, or take as many moments as you need. Revert back from going one day at a time to one moment at a time. Step by step. When in my mental flare-ups, my problem was I was trying to go one day at a time and I forgot what I always tell people. When you cannot do one day at a time, just take it one moment at a time. Honor your feelings. Honor what you're going through. But don't sit with them so long that you give it a home. Give it a temporary home. So that you can feel it, you can nurture it, and you can heal it. And then you can send it on its way. Like a house guest. Send them on their way. But sometimes when we let it fester too long, it starts to grow. And it starts to grow weeds. And not the good kind of weeds that turn into pretty flowers. The kind that strangle things. Not like the serial killer card. No. But, there's some weeds that will strangle plants. Don't give those feelings a chance to grow inside of you. As hard as it can be to face the darkness, and as hard as it can be to face whatever it is you're going through, do it, and do it with the knowledge that you are more powerful than your deepest, lowest thoughts. You are more powerful than your darkest thoughts. You may have to battle for it. You may have to fight really, really hard for that. But know in the end, if you know in the end that you are going to win, No matter how many times you get punched in the face or beaten down by your own feelings, your own emotions, just know that you will prevail. Because you're going to rise. You're going to rise like the warrior that you are. And you're going to say, you know what? No, I'm done. Not today. And you're going to take that power back. And it's going to be the most magical feeling. And it's going to give you that courage and that strength to continue to push forward. And every time that you may fall into that pit, remind yourself of the warrior that you are. Sometimes we just need a break. Sometimes we just need that rest. And when we feel better, we know what we're capable of. We know what makes us tick, and we know how to fight. Okay? So, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. You can punch today in the face, or you can go hug it. Whatever the day calls for. Hey, you do you. I might do a little bit of both. I'll punch it, then hug it. But yeah, just go out and do what you need to do, all right, to get through today. And like I said, if you're struggling with going day to day, do it one moment at a time, one step at a time. All right. So have a great day. I will see you here tomorrow for Self-Care Wednesday. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but I'm not going to say what we're probably going to talk about. It will be something self-care because the subjects this week just they keep changing on the dime. Everything is suddenly becoming spur of the moment this week. So, right? I didn't even plan on talking about most of that stuff. I was going to pull a card and be done with it. But I do like how the card, I just pulled from the top after I shuffled it the first time. So it was nice that the card actually fit the subject line. Now give yourself a big hug. Give yourself a big, loving, warm hug. And remind yourself that not only are you a warrior, you're worth it. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of self-respect. And you are worthy, truly, of self-love. Okay? Tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Facebook Live. They are public. Anybody can watch. Or when these things do post, I post them to YouTube afterwards under the Aloha Perspective with Shella Marie Lucas. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to everybody tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.